said, yeah. I was like, shh, don't get up and look.
Yikes.
Well, we'll see.
The things you'll do to sleep.
Yeah, man, it's important. Sleep's important.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are we ready?
All right. Episode 43.
Got it.
Got it?
Mm-hmm. Hi, everybody. I'm Travis Jansen here at Thrive Fitness, and we're back with episode 43, Q&A session with Jerry Scarlato. What are you looking at? Can't you see yourself?
I can a little bit. I'm just making sure.
Is your hair
I
all
kind
right?
of left it tilted up a little bit.
Your hair looks okay.
Does it look okay?
Yeah.
Kate's been happier with it. I don't know what. I'm like, I haven't done anything. Like, I just get out of the shower and go. I never, but she swears that something's different. I'm like, it's the same.
You're doing something. So, you don't have to share your secrets.
I'm not going to.
I just can't wait to see it in the pool.
In the pool? I'll slick back?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That'll be different.
The other day, it must have been Monday or Tuesday, I was like, I think it's the end for the hair. Because it was hot. It was one of the days it was relatively hot, 80 something maybe. And I was like, I think this might be it. So we'll see what happens this weekend. If things don't go well.
I think it's going to be 90 on Saturday.
Yeah, and I'm burning up, I might be bald by Monday. So.
And I look back at those pictures of you when you and it's like, wow.
Yeah.
It seems like it was so long ago, but that was just
last year. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I told you my son used to wear his hair like that forever, ever and ever. And he finally will pay to get a haircut now, and he's wearing it in a different way. But I don't know how long it'll last him through the summer either.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
it's different having hair. It makes a big difference.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll see what happens.
All right, we're here with our first question, and it's from Jeff, a client here. I happened to come to a morning workout last week, and he asked me, do you think you burn more fat when you work out in the morning on an empty stomach? That's very controversial out there. Everybody's got an opinion about it. Is that beneficial if you're trying to lose fat?
Right, so we're told that we need to eat carbohydrates in the morning to give us energy, right? Mm-hmm. So that's why everyone has their bowl of oatmeal or whatever, breakfast potatoes, whatever it is. You have your carbohydrates in the morning. What's that look for?
Breakfast potatoes.
I had breakfast potatoes
Fried
this morning.
taters.
Yeah.
Yeah. Breakfast potatoes. I never heard him talk about that.
Coconut oil?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You're one of the few that can do that. Mm-hmm.
Well, I ran at 5 o'clock as well, so it was after that.
Oh, okay. It was your PAL meal. That's good. Okay.
Yeah. So that's what you're told, or that's what and that is true, that carbohydrates give you energy. That's very true. First thing in the morning, your body is set up to burn fat off of you. Your body wants to utilize your fat for energy first thing in the morning, because your body replenishes its hormones overnight, and those hormones are at their highest in the morning. So if you go without eating first thing in the morning, I'm not talking like if you wake up at 6 and you're going to work out at 10 or something like that. Like if you wake up, you basically have a drink of water and then you go work out first thing in the morning. Then again, this depends on what you eat the night before. If you haven't eaten, like if you didn't eat, the last time you ate was 5 o'clock the day before, then you need to eat something. Yeah, because you're going to be low on calories, you're going to run out pretty quick.
I think your glycogen's been tapped in overnight.
At that point, yeah. Mm-hmm. So, however, if you've eaten, is that a word? If you've eaten the night before, 7, 8 o'clock, and you had a decent hearty meal, and you're working out at 6 o'clock in the morning, then yes, absolutely, you're going to burn, I can't say absolutely, however, a lot of studies and research and things that we've seen around here, you will burn fat in the morning without any other energy in you, as long as you have to get energy in you after your workout. You have to make sure that you feed your body after your workout so that it'll rebuild itself and repair itself. But what do you think? And it depends. It's person to person, because also I think a lot of people don't. Some people just can't do it. Right. They just don't have the energy to just run off their own body fat. And I think that's partly, again, you don't know what you're eating the night before, and then it's just like routine. It's just not being used to it.
I think that you also have to look at the fact that what do you do? Look at your nutrition the rest of the day behind this. It's not going to benefit you to get up and work out on an empty stomach to burn fat if you
are going to go
over your calories
the rest of the day.
Right, because then you've just defeated that whole purpose. So I think that's something else that you need to be aware of. And like you said, I do agree that everybody's different. And some people, do you think it has anything to do with overall if you are a fat burner or a carb burner as to what benefit you're going to get out of that? So somebody
I absolutely think so, but
who's got a diet, based in carbohydrates at every meal, they are what people classify as sugar burners.
Right,
because that's what their body's used to doing. Whereas someone who really does low carb most of the time are more efficient.
Or places their carbs correctly.
Right, are more efficient at fat burning. Their body's more efficient. That's not an efficient fuel source.
Carbohydrate.
It's not efficient fuel source if you are basing most of your diet and having carbohydrates being a big piece of your diet. Your body's not efficient at burning fat then.
Right.
So I think
that's a very valid point. Absolutely. Right. So if your body's utilizing carbs on a regular basis, then it's going to have a hard time, I don't want to say understanding, because your body knows how to do it. It'll do it when it's in survival mode, but no, just for one time, it's not going to be able to do it quite as effectively. And that's just, again, knowing, like you said, being cognizant and mindful of what you're doing the rest of the day and how many carbs you're taking in and where you're placing them. But that's a good point. I
was reading about in this journal of mine. They talk about your most insulin sensitive in the morning. Your muscles are, and your fat cells are. So by eating carbohydrates early in the day like that, your fat cells are also sensitive to that and pulling in and storing. And that's one of the theories behind pushing those starchy carbohydrates out later in the day because in the evening your fat cells are not as insulin sensitive. So.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah, I thought that was. I thought that was interesting.
Cool.
Yeah. So anyway, and putting your carbohydrates after you work out is really the most efficient place to have them in your diet. So I think you just be aware of it. Don't get up and work out to burn fat on an empty stomach in the morning, and then tank the rest of the day and go over calorie wise, because then you've just defeated.
Right. Just be mindful.
The whole thing. Okay. Good.
Question.
All right. Next question.
Okay.
We're going to talk about willpower.
Okay.
And I think you and I have had this conversation in the distant past, because I talked about my experience as I was losing my weight about willpower and how I felt that willpower was like a muscle and you needed to build it. So do you feel willpower, they use the analogy, is like a battery. It can be drained and then recharged. So then you hear willpower is finite. You only have so much.
So, right. So there's not two ways, right? So first of all, a lot of people, when you talk about trying to make nutritional change or any type of change in general, but nutritional specifically, and being able to pass up dessert. Like we're going to use that as an example because that's just what people talk about and what concerns people the most. So being able to pass up dessert. Most people will say, I'm not able to do it. Like if I see something on the table, I'm just not able to pass it up. There's no way I can do it. Well, yes, there is building up, again, like building a muscle, right? Or recharging a battery. What Dan John talks about is filling up a glass of water, okay? So every time you pass it up, you fill up your glass of water. However, it'll spill over, and then you are out of control. So you can build your willpower up, but then if you're just constantly saying no, no, and then one day something really stressful happens in your life, you can't handle it, and then you just fall off the wagon, like you just fall apart. Or, you just get to that, they have a birthday party and all of a sudden you just lose it and you just have like half the cake,
You ever happened to you?
I'm giving lifetime experiences here.
Okay. All right. Good. I like to know that. You are human, huh?
I'm kidding, mostly. So, yes, there's the building up of willpower that needs to happen, okay? And anybody can do it. You just have to be patient. And it just takes just one little tiny, you pass one little cookie and your brain will go, oh, I can do that. It just takes one little itsy bitsy tiny pass up of something and your brain figures out you can do it, okay? However, then there is that point where you are just building up too much and you have to allow yourself, under your control, planned to an extent, let go. Right? So there is that point where if you're going to a party, it's fine to have a cupcake. Like, it's okay. What are you looking at me for?
Go ahead.
So you just, because constantly saying no and constantly saying no and constantly passing things up,
Beats you down.
It's hard. We're all human. Like, we're just all human. And that is okay. And I think that goes back to like, labeling things as good and bad and things like that. So the problem is whenever you do pass things up, you feel good about yourself, and then you have something because you gave in, and then that was a bad food. Then you tell yourself you're a bad person, and then it's just a downward spiral again. Like, it's just an awful feedback loop. So you have to, when you know you're coming into a situation where things are going to be in front of you that you don't really want to be in front of you, but that you might like, you have to go in with a plan. Okay, this is what I'm going to do. Yeah, I'm going to have 3 cookies. I'm going to do it. I'm going to be done with it. It's fine. It's over. Next day, I can say no again. So, yes, I think there's filling up, and then I think there's a point where it drains, like your willpower just drains. So,
I believe that when I was going through my process, I didn't deliberately do this, but I do think I finally thought about willpower as a muscle. And initially when you're making a change, I think it's just like any kind of other thing. You can't be around what is your enemy. So, I didn't avoid going to parties, but what I did was I just went late. Or I would take a healthy, something I felt comfortable having with me to share with people. So I think over time, once I felt mentally, like you said, you celebrate those little, when the cookies are out there and you don't have one, then you celebrate that and think, man, I can do this. I did it this time. I can do it next time. And I think over time, just exposing yourself to that gets that stronger each time. Plus, the fact that you are also distancing yourself from sugar and sweet stuff to where it doesn't have that control on you anymore. I can, to this day, really, when you say a cupcake, I don't even desire cakes or cupcakes anymore. Because it's when you did go back and have one of those, you were just kind of, then that sets a whole cascade of, that wasn't really worth it. Then I would equate it in my head, oh my God, I have to do this much workout. Or if I had worked out and then went and did that, I thought, well, you just dumped water. That's how I looked at it. You just dumped water on the fire you just made in your body internally by doing that. So I think as you work through that process, I think that you build that willpower up, like anything else.
Those are good points, and I think that really is. You really just need to shoot for small victories, right? And you know, a lot of people want to just dive right in and try and do it all at once, like just try and
You
just say
can't.
no to everything.
You can't.
It's hard to do.
It's a process. It
Mhm.
really is, and it's
You really have to build
to,
up small victories and do it.
and you have to be in touch mentally with yourself as to what people talk about trigger foods.
Right.
I think everybody has a trigger food. What's your trigger food? What is something that you just know that when you start eating it,
Double stuffs?
it's going to be a fight?
Is that what you're trying to get to?
No, I think everybody has them.
Yeah.
And if you recognize, like, mine's pizza. I'll be honest with you.
Yeah.
Mine is pizza, and you have to recognize what is that thing. And you know, I have it, but it is that one food that, man, if my mind's not in check, I could eat a whole large by myself.
I'd love to see that. Actually, I'd be willing to bet you couldn't do it.
I probably couldn't, but my mind is telling me, yes, you could do that. Go ahead.
Yeah.
So I think that's something else to know. There's those things that you have to control, because they're always going to kind of like have a little handle on you.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
Always going to bring you down.
Yeah, bring you down. Stick with pizza.
Yeah, cookies.
Cookies, double stuff, sticking me down.
Yeah.
It's all your fault.
So, all right, our last question, I want to talk about vitamin D.
Okay.
I just shared out on my Facebook page. They've just, the FDA or whoever regulates the food labeling in the United States has now passed the law that the food labels are going to be changing within, they have 2 years. Manufacturers do to change and I don't know all the details on the labels, but one of the things they're going to start putting on food labels is the vitamin D content.
Yeah.
So I wanted to talk a little bit, let everyone know what is so important about vitamin D.
That's a fantastic question. Trevis, what's important about vitamin D?
Oh, okay. For one, where we live, they said anyone who is north of Los Angeles down, so we're in that hemisphere.
Yeah.
Vitamin D is something that our bodies can make from sunlight. So anyone who lives up above there in the north, 9 times out of 10, or if someone checked it, you've got some deficiency.
Yeah.
Because we don't have the sun exposure that the South America and down has. So that is why vitamin D is important for us to supplement with, because number one, the food that vitamin D is in is, I don't think, food that most people like, which is herring and a lot of tuna. I mean, there's vitamin D and some other things, but those are like big sources of vitamin D, and I don't think a lot of people eat those kinds of foods. So vitamin D is important for our bodies. So number one, for us to absorb calcium and phosphorus and regulate that. But it's also important, they're finding, for your immune system, for your mood, for body composition.
Yeah.
Right. There's more and more coming out about that. And I think that's why it's getting to be such a big thing.
Right.
So when you're looking at vitamin D, to supplement with that, which you know, I recommend anyone who lives in this area do that, is you want to take D3.
Right.
Because there's like, I don't know, 5 or 6 different types of vitamin D out there. D1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Anyway, D3 is the one that our body makes from sunlight. So D2 and D1, the other, or just some of them are just listed as vitamin D. Those are synthetic. You're not going to absorb those as well, and you're not going to utilize them as well. So you want to make sure that you supplement with vitamin D3.
Okay.
Okay, because that's what we make. The other thing to do, if you wanted to get it naturally, is of course try to put more vitamin D food into your diet. But the other thing you can do is just go outside with no sunblock for 20 minutes. You don't have to go out there in your birthday suit, but don't be out there in long sleeves and jeans either. But just take in some of the natural sunlight that's out there to help your body manufacture its own vitamin. So, what do you think?
No, that's all good. You know, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know a ton and understand a ton about vitamins and minerals. I do know I know more about supplements, creatine, branched chain amino acids than I do about that. However, vitamin D, like you said, it has been very popular lately, and a lot of times I believe that popular things aren't necessarily the way to go. Common knowledge is not the way to go. However, this is one of the things that seems to affect many functions of your body. So it's important to get and important to have. And if you are not outside a lot, it's important to supplement with it with 2,000 IUs or so a day, depending on who you are. And then also the other thing to think about when you're talking about being in the sun is your skin tone.
Darker skinned people don't absorb as much sunlight, so they don't their body can't make as much.
It's harder, right? So that's another thing to think about whenever you're out in the sun.
Right. It's just interesting. I think that the medical field is becoming more aware of this because they recently, my husband went in for a physical and they drew a vitamin D level on him. He was deficient. Yeah, so it would be interesting, ask your doctor to check yours. It's not something that's, I don't think makes up, I don't know, how do I want to say this? Like you don't get,
you're not going to get disease.
But it impacts.
Because of it.
Right, but it impacts.
Certain functions of your body that
a lot of things
will be long term, will be important.
Like a friend of ours, his daughter has hypertension early. She's vitamin D deficient. Her mother had to ask the doctor to check that because of something she read because, she was 19, 20 years old and already had hypertension. And she read an article that kind of said, younger people should have their vitamin D level checked. Because a vast number of people are deficient. You don't know. So, you wouldn't know you were deficient because...
Sure, you function, you move, you're healthy.
There's enough fortified products with vitamin D to keep you from getting soft bones and falling apart. So that's why you have to ask to have it checked.
Good.
Okay.
Yeah. All right.
All right.
Good one.
Good job.
Nice.
All right. That's it?
Yep.
Okay. If you have any questions you'd like answered, you can send them to me at Travis at thriveforstrength.com or at,
go ahead.
What is my Twitter thing?
At
Travis Jansen?
Yes.
Okay. Or, I don't use my Twitter thing.
Come on,
I don't
dude.
send Twitter stuff to myself. But or where else you want to send to?
Thrive Fitness at Thrive Pack on Twitter.
Yeah. Please send us some questions. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next time.
Boom.